Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. As you all know, today I'm going to talk to you about the circulatory system. So when talking about the human circulatory system, it's the sixth lesson for grade 9 students. So when we are talking about circulatory system, the main part that comes to our mind when talking about circulatory system is the heart. So what is meant by this heart? What is the main function of this heart? So it is as we all know, it is the main organ that is located inside our circulatory system. So the main function of this heart is to uh, pump blood to the whole body, and the function of the circulatory system is transport blood throughout the body. So these are the two functions of the circulatory system and the heart. And when talking about heart, there are mainly four chambers, and each chambers contains atriums and atrias and ventricles. So there are some arteries that are connected to ventricles as well, and there are some semilunar valves that starts from the main arteries, and there are some main veins connected to the atria. Like that way, there are so many things to discuss about when talking about the human circulatory system. First of all, I would like to explain you about the four chambers in the heart. There are mainly four chambers. It means that the heart can be categorized into four chambers. The upper chambers are called as the atria. It's a plural verb. It's atria. The single noun is atrium. Atrium, atria. So the upper chambers of the heart are known as atria, and the lower chambers are known as ventricles. So that's the plural, ventricle, and that's ventricles. So these ventricles, I will tell you, as I told, the heart can be categorized into four. Upper parts are known as atria and the lower parts are known as ventricles. So the ventricles are left ventricle and the right ventricle. The heart can be categorized into two ventricles as left ventricle and right ventricle. And the atria are left atrium and the right atrium. So as I told, there are two values. So I discussed you about the four chambers: left atrium, right atrium, left ventricle, right ventricle. So there are two valves between these atrias and these ventricles. There are two valves that are situated between this atrium and the atrias and these ventricles. So the first one is bicuspid valve and the second one is that tricuspid valve. Bicuspid valve means it is situated between the left ventricle and the left atrium. There's a valve that is situated in between the left atrium and the left ventricle. It's bicuspid valve. And the other one I told is tricuspid valve. The tricuspid valve is located in between the right ventricle and the right atrium. And as I told, there's another two main arteries connected to the ventricles. There are, as the first one that I told is two valves is connected in between. There's two valves located in between the atria and ventricles. Now I'm going to talk to you about the two main arteries connected to the ventricles. The first one is aorta and the second one is pulmonary artery. Aorta means aorta starts from the left ventricle and the pulmonary artery starts from the right ventricle. Aorta starts from left ventricle and pulmonary artery starts from right ventricle. So these are the two arteries that starts from ventricle that are connected to the ventricles. And the other point is that there are semilunar valves at the starting point of the main arteries. There are main arteries and there are some semilunar valves that started from these arteries. The first one is that aortic semilunar valve and pulmonary semilunar valve. These are the subparts of aorta and pulmonary artery. The valves that starts from the main arteries are aortic semilunar valve and pulmonary semilunar valve. Aortic semilunar valve starts from the main point of the aorta, and the pulmonary semilunar valve starts from the pulmonary artery. And as the last point, there are main veins connected to the atria. The first one is that the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. So the main function of the superior vena cava is transport all the blood that are above the heart. It means it collects all the blood of the organs inside upper of our heart. It means if the heart is located in this place, all the organs above the heart, it means brain, like that way. The superior vena cava is the art vein that get all the blood, that supplies all the blood to the heart. And the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava is open to the right atrium. It is open valve to the right atrium, inferior vena cava, superior vena cava. And the other one, the other vein is that left and right pulmonary veins open to the left atrium, left pulmonary vein and right pulmonary vein. These two types of veins are open to the left atrium. So as I told previously, I mentioned you something known as arteries and veins. In that moment, you may be confused what are those arteries and veins. So now I'm going to explain what are those arteries and what are those veins. So the arteries means the blood vessels that take blood away from the heart. It means after the blood has pumped by the heart, the arteries are the ones who take away the blood from the heart. And the veins are the vessels that supplies blood to the heart. It means that it collects all the blood throughout all the blood of the all organs throughout the body, and it supplies those blood by a vein to the heart. And there are main arteries that starts from the heart, and those arteries have been divided. Those main arteries have been divided into branches. So as we all know, as I told previously, the pulmonary artery starts from the heart. I told you that the pulmonary artery is started from the heart, and it transport blood to the lungs. The pulmonary artery only supplies blood, only transport blood to the lungs. And the aorta, I told you pulmonary artery and aorta. So these are the two veins, two arteries that I told. So the pulmonary artery transports blood only to the lungs, and the aorta supplies blood to the other organs. It means the other organs throughout the body, the blood is supplied by aorta, and the blood to the lungs are supplied by pulmonary artery. When this within an organ, as inside the organ, the artery is divided into arterioles, and then these arterioles are then divided into capillaries. It means by a collection of capillaries, an arteriole is formed, and by the collection of the arteriole, an artery is formed, and by collection of arteries is formed. So that's the connection, that's the link between these arteries, capillaries and the arterioles. And the other one, the capillaries join together, and then when the capillaries join together, it forms an venules, and when the venules join together, it forms a vein. Artery into arterioles, arterioles into capillaries, and when the capillaries get joined together, it forms a venule, and when so many venules get together, it forms a vein. So the other one, pulmonary veins starting from lung. As I told, pulmonary artery supplies blood only to the heart, and those pulmonary veins that are started from the lungs takes blood to the left atrium. So these things must be noted down in your mind. As I told, there are separately two functions for superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. So the function of the superior vena cava is all the veins above the heart. It means if the heart is located in this place, the heart is located in this place. So all the veins from the organs above the heart joins to the superior vena cava, and all the organs up, all the organs below the heart, all the veins below, all the veins of the heart below the heart are collected into this inferior vena cava, and both superior and inferior vena cava are open to right atrium, while the pulmonary veins that supplies blood to the lungs are open into left atrium. So pulmonary veins are open to left atrium, while the inferior vena cava and the superior vena cava are open to right atrium. So when we are drawing, so now we talk about arteries, veins and capillaries, and now we are going to talk the reason for. So first of all, when we are drawing arteries and veins, you may have some instances where you have confused on how these arteries are quite bit thick when we are drawing features, and veins are a little bit thin when we draw. So you may confuse what is the reason for this. So when the arteries is normally thick and elastic, the reason for that is the arteries is the ones who take the blood away from the heart, plumbed by the heart. I think you got that point. It means that after the heart plumbed the blood, artery is the one who take away the blood from the heart. So the heart pumps blood in different pressures. So arteries are, as I told, arteries is the ones that blood take blood away from the heart. So these arteries must have a capability of bearing any type of pressure in any type of situation. So that's the reason that the arteries walls are very thick and elastic. So if the heart pumps the blood in very high pressure, so the arteries must have an ability to gain that pressure. So that's why the arteries walls are thick and elastic. So the veins are not very elastic and very thick as the artery walls, because it is the pressure inside the veins are relatively low when compared to the artery. So that's why those walls are very thin and not elastic than artery walls. And veins collect blood from the capillaries and in the body organs and transport to the heart. As I told, we know that point. And so the walls of the capillaries, these walls of the capillaries consist of a single layer. It means the capillaries consist of a single layer, and they spread among the cells the nutrients and gases in blood diffuse into the cells, and waste matter is the cells is diffused to the blood capillary. So you can see in this picture how that has been occurred. And so the other one, component of blood and what are their functions. So in the body we normally see the blood in a liquid form. As example, if we cut our finger, we can see the liquid form of the blood. So as a comparison, only 55% of the blood is present in the liquid form. The other 45% is present in this plasma. It means it is not present. It is present in the form of corpuscles. So the blood that is in liquid form are known as plasma, and the blood in the solid form are known as corpuscles. So this blood can be categorized into two, as corpuscles and plasma. So these, if we talk about corpuscles, these corpuscles can be divided into two, as red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets. So other one, plasma, water, thin soluble in water, thin thins, insoluble in water. Blood can be categorized into two: corpuscles and plasma. Corpuscles can be divided into two: red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. The other one, plasma, can be categorized into two: water, thins soluble in water, thins insoluble in water, or thins insoluble in water. So, according to a microscopic observation of a blood sample, there are three types of corpuscles. As I told, it has their scientific names as well. Red blood cells is known as erythrocytes, and white blood cells are known as leukocytes. Erythrocytes, leukocytes. Red blood cells is known as erythrocytes, and white blood cells are known as leukocytes. And the other one is platelets. As we all, according to the microscopic observation, it says that erythrocytes and leukocytes are cells, while the platelets are cell fragments. So the function of the blood. Now I'm going to talk about the function of the three types of corpuscles: red blood cells or erythrocytes. Red blood cells contains a red pigment inside that cell, and that is called hemoglobin. That name is quite usual for us. That there's inside the red blood cell there's a red pigment that is called hemoglobin, and hemoglobin carries the oxygen from lungs to body cells. The function of hemoglobin is carries oxygen from lungs to the body cells and also give its red color. The function of that is gives red color to the blood and transport blood and carries oxygen from lungs to the body cells. And when talking about white blood cells or leukocytes, white blood cells means white blood cells are the simply defined as the ones who destroy the pathogens or the harmful microorganisms and producing antibodies, not antibiotics, antibodies. So white blood cells are mainly categorized into 5 parts: neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, lymphocytes, monocytes. Neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, lymphocytes, monocytes. So these are the 5 parts, the 5 categorizations of white blood cells or leukocytes. And the other one is platelets. Platelets are the ones that who are help in the clotting process. As example, if we cut our finger when we are cutting something with a knife, if we got a cut with a knife in the finger, after some time you can see here the blood has been clotted. So the reason for this is that the platelets, while the blood is flowing and while the blood is bleeding from the body, the platelets come into that side and that place, and it helps to control that situation of bleeding of blood by clotting the blood, and it stops bleeding of the blood. And some virus infection cause there are some virus infection as well that cause a great harm to platelets. It means those types of infections mainly destroy the platelets and its percentage, such as dengue, leptospirosis, like that way those diseases mainly destroy the platelets. And the other one is plasma. The function of this plasma is transporting substances dissolved in which we know that the blood is dissolved with the different types of substances. So the function of this plasma is transporting substances dissolved in it. And the last topic of our lesson is blood transfusion. So what is this blood transfusion? The transferring of blood from one individual to another individual is known as blood transfusion. The person who donates the blood is simply known as donor, and the one who receives the blood is known as recipient. And it is not easy to transfer blood as we think, because it should have a compatibility of blood group when we transfer those bloods. So now I'm going to talk to you about what are those compatibility of the blood group. There are four types of blood groups that present in the humans. The first one is that blood group A, blood group B, blood group AB, and blood group O. A, B, O. So it differs from the depend on the protein components present in the blood cells. So that's how the blood groups can be occurred as A, AB, O, and B. So by considering these types of blood groups only, we can donate the blood and we can receive the blood. So now let's see. You can see in this diagram, if we take the blood group A and the recipient A, it is possible. It means the donor has A blood, the recipient has A blood, we can donate that blood. If we take AB, it's not possible. AB, we can donate that blood. AO, we cannot donate or receive that blood. It means that if we donate the blood A, if the recipient has the blood group A, we can receive that. And if the donor has the blood group A and the recipient has blood group B, we cannot receive that. And if the donor has blood group A and if the recipient has the blood group AB, we can receive that blood. And if the blood group of the donor is A and the recipient is O, we cannot receive that. If the blood type of the donor is B, recipient A, it's not possible. Blood type is B, the recipient blood is B, it's possible. Blood type B, the recipient of the blood type is AB, it's possible. The blood type of the donor is B, recipient of the blood type of the recipient is O, it's not possible. When go to AB of the blood type of the donor to the recipient group A, it's not possible. AB into B, not possible. AB, it's possible. And AB into O, it's not possible. If the blood group of the donor is O and if the recipient blood group is A, it's possible. O, the main function of the blood group O is it can be received and we can donate all blood. We can donate the blood to the all groups. It means O can donate to recipient A, O can the donor with the blood type A can donate the blood to the recipient with the type B, and O to AB and O to O. There's no any harm if we do it like that. So the AB can receive the blood, so all the blood groups, so therefore AB is known as the universal recipient, and the blood group O can donate all the blood, you see here, AB can receive all the blood. AB can receive all the blood, as the AB can receive all the blood, it is known as universal recipient, and the universal donor means O because it can donate the blood to the all types of the blood groups. When talking about blood transfusion, when transferring blood it's not the thing that we should compare about the compatibility of the blood group. Rather than that, we should consider about the rhesus factor as well. So now I'm going to talk to you about what is the compatibility of rhesus factor. So this rhesus factor is mainly present in every type of blood group, and it is considered as Rh positive. If rhesus factor is absent, it is considered as Rh negative. You can see here the recipient who are Rh positive can receive both Rh negative and Rh positive blood groups. However, the Rh negative recipient can receive only Rh negative blood only. I think you got that. So according to that factor, according to that rhesus factor, there are four types of blood groups are converted into 8 types of blood groups: A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative, AB positive, AB negative, O positive, O negative. So okay. and the circular system lesson goes on. So I think you got an idea about this lesson. So if you have any questions, don't forget to comment down below. So don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, and let's meet with another video. Goodbye.